Okay, thanks for that, Olivia. And hi, everyone. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm presenting today. I would also like to pay respect to elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians present. My master's thesis that I'll be talking about today explored the key considerations of duo singing in virtual reality and video conferencing. To start off, I'll show you an example of what that looks like.
I'm gonna just turn you right down on the audio, and I'm just gonna sing with you very faint, so I can so it doesn't spill. Okay, here we go. 3, 4. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Oh, hang on, the camera has gone way up in the sky. Ooh. That's an interesting view, but I've accidentally moved the camera. If you look right up, at the sky and wave. Oh,
I can't even see you. Oh, but you.
I've just got to bring this camera back. Okay, camera's now in front of us. Okay, here we go.
So I'll show you a little bit more of that later on. The ability for musicians to interact in person has been highly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, forcing performers to seek out suitable online collaboration platforms. While VR has re-emerged as an alternative visual choice over video conferencing for musical collaboration, limited research exists that examines the affordances of these two mediums for communication in networked music performance contexts. The purpose of the study that I did was to explore the participant experience of singing with a partner in a video conference and also a virtual reality session. A mixed method study was designed involving 10 participants from Australia and the United States with access to the internet and a VR headset. Following the singing session, semi-structured interviews were conducted along with an online questionnaire. And thematic analysis of interview data identified 5 key themes across both of the mediums. They were presence, performance, affect, usability, and usefulness. There was also 25 sub-themes that came out as well. So interviews revealed that the influence of the physical and virtual environmental setting on participants' emotional states was linked to their sense of self-awareness and their singing confidence. Another theme was that participants felt less inhibited in the VR environment, helping to contribute to a sense of fun and creativity. And this was contrasted with feelings of increased visibility on screen in the video conference setting, leading to greater degrees of self-consciousness. Visual cues were considered important by participants for musical connection and timing. However, this was challenged by a lack of facial expression in the VR avatar, as we can see there in the picture. That's actually me holding the selfie stick. Ultimately, survey results indicated an overwhelming preference among participants for singing in the VR setting. And these results contribute to further understanding around the affordances and limitations of visually mediated technologies in networked music performance. So together, the findings suggest that the suitability of platforms for online singing is contextually dependent. So that means that less confident singers may prefer virtual reality for casual musical collaboration, while video conferencing may be best suited for when the accuracy of facial cues is more important. The findings also support prior research on the importance of visual cues in network music performance, as well as highlighting the challenges with physical comfort and body ownership in virtual reality. And finally, these results help broaden our understanding of the influence of self-awareness on inhibition, in addition to visual communication in online networked music collaborations. So just a shout out to my supervisors past and present, and also shout out to the government for helping support this, this master's research that I'm planning to submit in a couple of weeks' time. And also happy to answer any questions around the research as well. Thank you.
Next, can we welcome Daniel Yeom, who will be presenting Testing the Latent Structure of Objective Singing Performance. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Olivia, and thanks, Ben, on the great talk. I am part of the Clinical and Music Neuroscience Lab, and my name is Daniel. And today I'll just be stepping you all through some work that we've recently been doing on our lab relating to objective singing ability and around this work, which we call phenotyping. So just a couple of, there we go. Just a bit of background. So in recent work, we've shown that singing ability, as we sort of operationalize it from a behavioral perspective in terms of pitch and interval accuracy, we've shown that this is heritable. In other words, genetic factors are important in the development of pitch accuracy. And so we're in a stage where we're trying to investigate, well, what are these actual genetic loci? You know, what genes are actually involved? And part of that work involves really robust phenotyping, or really, if you want, fleshing out of what's important. This works on a garbage in, garbage out principle, in that any genetic analysis you do is only as good as the phenotyping that you do before it. So we're really interested in digging deeper into, I know this came up in the last presentation, but almost what makes someone good at pitch accuracy, what makes someone a good singer. And one of the sort of considerations of this is its latent structure. In other words, is singing ability a categorical thing? So are there distinct categorical differences between people? Or are we talking about a dimensional trait, in that everyone sits on a spectrum of singing ability, and really what makes someone a good singer is a little bit arbitrary? As a sort of interesting side note here, we kind of assume that many musical traits are dimensional by nature, and that's a very safe assumption to make, given that most traits across humans are latently dimensional. But we've never really tested this, or we've yet to test this with many traits. So this is sort of a first pass formal test at this question in the context of singing ability. So we recruited a large sample of Australian twins across the general population, so 1,189 individuals, and we got them to do a series of singing tasks online. So one which is just single note matching, one involving a series of unfamiliar melodies. So these are 7-note melodies that they had to imitate as accurately as they could. And then we also asked them to sing a familiar tune, or Happy Birthday in this instance. And from these 3 tasks, we can essentially extract 5 acoustic measures of singing accuracy. One we call pitch deviation, so essentially how close are they to the target note. And another is interval deviation. So how close is the sung interval to the interval that they were meant to sing? So for example, if someone overshoots a note in Happy Birthday, that's an interval deviation and a pitch deviation. And in our previous work, we've shown that all these measures are really strongly related to each other, and that they all tap into this underlying singing accuracy construct. So we use these singing tasks across our sample of twins, and we first subjected it to what we call a taxometric analysis. Essentially, a taxometric analysis is that dimensional or categorical question. How it works is we have a series of independent calculations that test whether a given data set resembles a dimensional or a categorical one in nature, basically relies on probabilistic sampling. And based on our data with these 5 singing measures and the 1189 twins, the answer is good question. It came out inconclusive, so these 3 methods usually align in one direction or the other. It was interesting in our case that they didn't. So that left us essentially at a bit of a crossroads. So this is a great question. This did not answer the question in quite the way we expected. So based on that, we thought, well, if we had to divide the spectrum up in a sort of scientifically defensible manner, how might we go about doing that? That's where we turn to latent profile analysis. So how this works is we gave it the same 5 singing measures. And what an LPA does, again, in a probabilistic sense, is to estimate, well, if we say there are X number of profiles or different categories of singers, who belongs on what profile, essentially? And from that, we can make some inferences about what delineates performance along the spectrum, or whatever it is, and what might be relevant. So we did this with our singing data, and we came up with 3 profiles. The first we've tentatively called super singers. So these are participants who performed extremely well on all the tasks. So just as a note, lower values here represent better performance. But not only are they really good at all the tasks, they're also incredibly consistent. So their deviation either way, which is what this little red band, this is plus minus 1 standard deviation, is extremely tight. You'll see why this is important in the next profile, which we call occasional singers. These people fall below 100 cents, which in Western tonal systems is a semitone, which is one benchmark of singing accuracy that's been used. They generally fall below this, but their performance is a lot more variable in this respect. And lastly, we have a profile of poor pitch singers. These are people whose performance is far more variable, and they also tend to sing a lot more out of tune. You can see just by the deviation bands here that they are more variable compared to profile 1 especially, and that their performance on average, because they have high values on those deviation measures, are worse. And the breakdown of participants in each group is just down below. So roughly 20% in the bottom, roughly just below 20% in the top, and then a big group of occasional singers in the middle, which to some respects is consistent with what we expect in the general population. We know that there are probably at least 3 groups of singers, one who are going to be really good, one who are going to be what we call poor pitch singers, which previous estimates have set at about 10 to 20%, and a big group of occasional singers. So these are participants who can reasonably, with some reasonable level of accuracy, sing a melody that's familiar to them or match notes, but their performance isn't quite what we expect of, say, professional singers or people who are inherently really good at this task. So in light of all this, where we've gotten so far is essentially our first formal test of whether this is a categorical or dimensional trait. We don't know. But if we were to split this up, depending on how well people performed, we came up with these 3 profiles, like I said, which are consistent with previous literature, which show also very clear differences, not only in how well they perform, but also how consistently. So that's where we're up to so far. We hope to extend this work by digging deeper into, well, what might relate to membership in each of these profiles. Of course, things like singing training, how old participants are will be relevant. That will be the next step for us in trying to phenotype this trait so we don't end up with that garbage in, garbage out problem. So thanks very much. Special thanks to the people on the slides here, particularly the CMNL and MP3 labs, both of whom are here today. So thank you very much to all these people on the slides, and I'm happy to take questions.
Let's now introduce Ron Han, who will be presenting Investigating Wellbeing and Social Support for International Students in a Choir. So welcome, Ron.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ron from the University of Queensland. I'm a first-year PhD student in psychology, and today I want to talk about an ongoing choir project led by my supervisor, Genevieve Twinkle, the effectiveness of choir singing for increasing sense of belonging and well-being among international students. So studying university can be challenging for students and can closely link with depression, anxiety, and stress. When studying abroad, international students may face unique stressors such as cultural stress, intense pressure from family, and difficulties with language. Also, loneliness and isolation are common among international students. They may experience the loss of connection with families, schoolmates, friends, or any interest groups. And during COVID, international students offshore may have extra stressors such as travel restrictions, online studies at home, lack of social integration and belongingness. So in the annual survey for UQ first-year students, mental health and well-being, we found that students were significantly lonelier and experienced more mental health problems during the first wave of COVID compared to the year before COVID 2019 and all the following years. So what can we do to help international students to face those kind of difficulties? previous research found that choir singing can increase social bonds and benefits the emotion of healthy adults and those who are experiencing mental health conditions. Also, research has demonstrated that singing together will enhance the sense of union with other people and self-categorization as a group member. So even when you leave the collective situation, the choir, for example, you will still have the sense of confidence in life. While these impacts are well known, no research has specifically investigated a choir for university students and whether their well-being and social bonding could be facilitated by belonging to such a group. Welcome to the choir. We started the choir to welcome back the international students offshore and welcome the new students come to Australia and give all of them a safe and fun way to connect with other people and staff at UQ, a voice and a good memory of uni life. So here is the choir journey we went through for the past 5-6 months. We started our welcome back choir in February, and we conducted and our choir members just keep growing during the first few months, and we conducted the first focus group study, and we asked our choir members about what they noticed and experienced when singing together. So we can see they feel connected to their body, and they think singing together is a mindfulness moment and love to sing in different languages and feel more energized. Or I really love the metaphor here. It's like panting. Singing is like panting with our voices in the air. So the focus group study actually brings us more closer together because we shared our experience and our feelings, and we get to know each other in the choir. So after that, we decided to give a name to the choir and use the social media account to record our choir memories. Then we have a name as UQ Voices and our new posters and our Instagram accounts. So here is our first gig for the Joint International Psychology Program graduates. So after the focus group study, a lot of interesting points were mentioned by the choir member. We wanted to know more about the effectiveness of choir singing for international students, especially for whether the choir singing increases their sense of belonging and well-being. Thus, we developed a survey for choir group and the control group. The study will have a 2x2 design, and the participants will complete the pre and post survey with 8 weeks apart between 2 surveys. Because we are still in a data collection period, so we do not have the results yet. Here is some demographic information. So we can see that people have a quite virus background from 9 different countries. Actually, we have a few members from Japan recently, so it's 10 countries in total. And most of them are living in a shared house or living alone or in a shared student accommodation. And most of our members are single for now. Finally, I just want to thank the leader of the choir project, Jen and Diana, and the choir director, Vicky, and our musician, Joy and Jose, and all our lovely choir members. Anyone who is interested in the result, please feel free to email me, or interested in joining our choir or know more about the choir, feel free to scan the QR code. Thank you.